not be able to at this time support the BZA, and that has to, I'm guessing, has to do with parking.
Well, can we split out the parking and you support the rest? And have no position on the parking at this point?
I think we can take a vote on
You
the
can't
parking
speak, sir, I'm
against.
sorry. Alex, can we take out the parking?
That is the board's, commission's prerogative. I would specifically, suggest that we, have a separate vote specifically on the parking issue. So
I'm all right with
it's
that.
clear what our concern is, or we just make, one motion that incorporates our opposition to the entire project based on parking. So let me do that. We'll see, how the votes go. So
What
I
are
would
the other
move-
Okay, no, wait, Alex.
Make it clear, so you're
Okay.
parking and.
So the first motion, you're not,
There's no second.
There was
no,
no second, so
the
nothing happened with it.
HPRB,
That
motion.
passed.
That passed,
okay, this one failed for lack of a second, the zoning.
but maybe let's.
And what are you gonna do now?
We're gonna split it up so that,
Well, I'm making a motion that ANC 6E oppose the zoning relief required for this project based on the project's failure to meet the parking requirements. And I would ask for a second.
I'll second.
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So it's what, 3? Frank, what did you,
Aye.
four?
No,
Wait,
a
let me
minute.
say that one more time then.
What?
We don't support any of the zoning stuff because of the parking bit.
It's a package, it's a package.
Okay, and Kevin seconded, and what were the votes? I couldn't see.
Did you vote to support or not support?
I'm gonna abstain.
So,
Okay, so it's 4, 1, 1. Oh, I'm
Who
sorry.
was the one nay?
Me,
Was there your nay? Okay.
because I support the project.
And what are you,
And Alfredo, what are you voting? Would you abstain then? So make it 2 abstentions. We'll have to work on it. Sorry,
Looks like
guys.
we will. Back to the drawing board.
Thank you.
yeah.
Okay, we are going to take our police reports. There is very limited time for questions on some of these reports. So after the officers present, we will let some people make comments, but we are limited in time, so you will be cut off after we see how much there is to say for people that need to speak. So, our police ladies and men in blue.
Good evening, I'm Lieutenant Pierce. This is one of my sergeants, Sergeant Gregory. As you know, I'm not sure if you're all aware of, but we've changed computer systems. So as far as stats, we don't have any stats available at this time.
What district are you?
3rd District,
308.
PSA 308, and I'm also the crime suppression lieutenant for the 3rd District. What I can tell you is as of August 16th, our crime stats were down 11% violent crime and 16% in property crime, and overall it was down 17%. Now I know if most of you are paying attention to the listservs and what I put out, there is a community outreach post located in the 600 block of O Street. I am there from Tuesday through Saturday, 6 to 8 p.m. to talk to the community to address the ongoing violent crime problem in PSA 308. I've seen some of you, others I have not seen. I make myself very available, cell phone number, everything. And any other questions that you have for me now in reference to what's going on and some of the things that I've been doing for the community as far as the community outreach posts? Right now, I haven't decided. My original goal was for the end of September, but I'm getting such great reviews on it, especially with the daycare programs and the school programs going on at the Kennedy Rec Center. I have received several email requests to keep it going at least until the end of fall, and I'm seriously thinking about doing that because I am seeing an amazing turnover in the 600 block of O Street. We got people coming out, we got kids playing again, people are feeling safer in that block with that tent being up there. It's not a long-term solution, but it's gonna be there long enough until I can figure out the right solution with y'all's help. I can't do it on my own. Because there's definitely, it's unbalanced in that area without us there. So I'm taking any suggestions, like I said, I'm there Tuesday through Saturday, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. in the 600 block of O Street. Sergeant Gregory's been there with me for every day for the past, going on 3 weeks as of Wednesday. And we've gotten a lot of good input, a lot of ANCs, and one of the property owner for the Giant has given us services for job training for folks in the area that need job training to get them from hanging on the street. So I just received something from an agency in reference to Dallas has a construction construction project going on. That's also at the community outreach post. So it's not only about crime prevention, but it's also getting people working again.
Any commissioners have questions? Alex and then Michelle?
Lieutenant, thank you for your increased attention both to the 600 block of O Street as well as to the 700 block of S Street, where we've obviously had 2 tragedies in recent months. The one concern that I am going to share with you is one that I've heard from a number of constituents about both of the locations, and that is that because of the concentration of officers at the specific points where they're located currently, there's a lack of attention to immediately adjacent locations where the activities that previously were located at those sites have been relocated to. So for O Street, it's the 700 block of O Street and the 1300 block of 8th Street. So basically just out of sight of the fixed post that you created on the middle of the 600 block of O Street. And then at the alley next to the Hollywood Barbershop at 702 S Street and on the 1700 block of 8th Street, right around the corner. So at 7th and S, the propensity for the officers have been to, there will be as many as 3 officers on the northeast corner by the entrance to the UNCF building, Federation Place, at 1805, 7th Street Northwest. So I shared that with the Commander Kishter, the Commander of the District, Nick Kishter. I reached out to you twice yesterday.
Gotta have a day off, Roger.
I understand.
Gotta have a day off.
But I haven't heard back from you, today.
Okay, well,
So
let me
I'll ask you
address,
the question.
let me address this. For the increased activity in the 700 block of O Street and the 1300 block of A Street, we have done some amazing work there because, yes, you have the visual presence, but I also have a team of aggressive officers patrolling that area in and around there. And as a result of the crime suppression teams patrolling heavily in that area, we've made a distribution of marijuana lockup in the 700 block of O Street, right with the police a block away. We also had a camera sitting up there. Still do it in front of the cameras. That portable camera system that's been there. 1300 block of A Street recovered a weapon. Somebody decided just to leave a gun laying out by the dumpster after they got done hanging out. Now, as far as 8th and R, we prevented a fight that could have turned very badly on another operation that the crime suppression team has done. And that was in the 1700 block of 7th Street in the rear. Officers were watching. Let's put it this way. The bad folks didn't know where the officers were. Officers were watching them. They got into an argument. One pulls out a gun last Saturday. And officers managed to break it up, chase the guy. They know who the suspect is, and recovered another weapon. That was a 380 semi-automatic can't think of the company of it. So my
Smith
officers
and
are out
Wesson.
there doing what they're supposed to be doing. You may not see it because you see the one officer standing there, but I got units that are monitoring and setting up operations in and around what's going on to aggressively enforce it. Because here's one thing I'm going to tell you right now. I believe in the soft approach to policing. I believe the community outreach post is a very vital part of getting the community and the officers to start a relationship and a dialogue. However, I'm also very proactive in my approaches to crime, and I'm not going to stop that until the problem's solved. So, like I said, I'm available.
All right.
Michelle.
Lieutenant DGS.
No, excuse me, Frank, Michelle, and then you.
So just to wrap up two things that happened in my area, the murder that was in June in the co-op, was there any, I don't think there was any catching of anyone, am I correct? And then the hand shooting at 4th and M, I never heard about if anyone said anything, I just assume at
No,
this
they're
point.
still, both cases are still being investigated. In
Okay.
fact, I have something from the homicide detectives in reference to the one case that homicide you're talking about, looking, asking officers to identify a group
Okay.
of subjects.
Okay, because they're
So-
still talking about it, I'm concerned because it's just been floating out there for a couple months now.
But you haven't seen anything since in the past 3 weeks, except for that possible mugging that was on Prince of Petworth. But because the systems are down, that's why I was telling you, I was researching it today. I don't have any luck of finding it until the systems match up with each other, the old one and the new one.
Okay, and then one last thing, so we've had, I have a constituent here with concern about a rash of break-ins, especially on Ridge Street, so,
Break-ins
We know- I
like,
know we had the
break-ins
bike-
as,
how would you, Chelsea, how would you say break-ins, like
cars, homes.
the
apartments.
car break-ins?
Yeah, a lot of glass on the.
So hold
I
on,
live around the
David,
corner.
hold on, so for Ridge Street, that if you, and I know we have the bike cop guy, if you could tell him to keep looking for these guys, breaking in cars, this was really bad this weekend. I don't know how many, it was like 5 cars?
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
Five cars, okay.
so just to keep that Ridge Street.
Can I add to that quickly?
Okay.
So I live on the 200 block of N Street, and about 2 weeks ago, my house was broken into a month ago. I have the guy, but 2 weeks ago, we had a rental car because our car was stolen. About 6 cars were broken into, and I contacted the detectives, multiple different ones. I'm familiar with them from our home burglary. And
Are you
whenever-
actually in the 5th district or the
Yes,
3rd?
fifth.
You're the 5th, okay.
And I know this isn't you, but there's footage, it's right in front of Dunbar High School with a camera right there, and no one's ever contacted me, like, we're gonna look for that footage, no one ever contacted us about, any investigation. There were 5 cars that, right in front of the camera, they could've gotten the guy, and this has been happening, I noticed on Ridge Street the other day that there's tons of glass, it's just constant, and I'm guessing it's the same group of, a few guys, same area. Our car had nothing in it, so
Okay.
they were dumb enough to look, not even see if there's something in there.
I might have a clue.
Frank, Q&A?
DGS has approved 2 cameras to go on the south side of Kennedy. Do we know when those cameras are going to be
I
delivered?
saw them putting cameras on Kennedy Rec Center, I wanna say in the middle of last week. I was not contacted, or was I consulted on the locations or the viewpoints of those cameras, so I'm still waiting for that invite.
Someone's have a clue?
Yes.
Abraham, you've been waiting for a long time, would you please?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Lieutenant, thank you for all you've done. I've talked with you in your offices when I walked down to O Street, but there's a kind of 800-pound gorilla in the room that we haven't talked about. Sitting next to me is Sandra Bliss, who lost her daughter Tamara 3 months ago, and so far, that hasn't been closed. Nor, in my understanding, is nobody has been arrested. Can you talk about that?
I cannot talk about that unfortunately, because it's still an active homicide investigation.
Okay.
And I believe that there is a known suspect in reference to that, but that's all I know at this point. If any other contact on that case, Ms. Bliss needs to follow up with the lead homicide detective in reference to that.
I just want to share with you and the commissioner is that those of us who've been around a long time, we've seen some things started in the 80s and the 90s, but when we talk about all lives matter, we got to make sure that every person, and Sandra, I had heard somebody say that they thought she was involved in drugs. She was not involved in drugs. She was a resident at Gibson Plaza, and she was an innocent bystander who was killed. And so we need to make sure that we don't have a double standard for how we prosecute people who kill innocent bystanders or here as to other parts of the city, and people who have different paint jobs.
Yes, sir.
Lieutenant, I had some constituents who were concerned about
being harassed at a bus stop at 7th Street. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Yeah, I'm probably one of the officers that have actually enforced what's going on at 7th.
So, have you taken any measures to dissipate or to address the concerns of the residents?
Yeah, we've had one serious assault that occurred in reference to a female walking to the Giant. She was assaulted by one of the possible people that drank and are possibly homeless. Still don't know their home status. So I went in there, and what they do, for everybody who knows the 700 block of P bus stop, they sit there and they drink, and they got their shopping cart, they take every piece of furniture that's left over in the neighborhood, to include milk crates, and they set up right there. It used to be the vacant lot. I moved them from there. Now they're sitting at 715 the bus stop. And I got with Metro Transit, and I'm going to start enforcing the public conveyance law. You cannot sit there and not use the bus stop or use the Metro bus. That's against the law. So they get warned, and then they normally move on with the assistance from Metro Transit. Now, what I have allowed them to do, because some of them are really good folks, some of them just enjoy sitting out there, enjoying a beautiful day. They've actually moved across the street on the south side of P in the 700 or 600 block of P, and are enjoying sitting underneath a tree. I have an agreement with them that they're gonna keep their trash together, and they're gonna not catcall as much and be disruptive. Drinking, they've done something to change that behavior because I haven't seen it. So right now, I'm getting nothing but positive feedback from the residents that they enjoy having them sit underneath the tree, and they're a lot calmer now. So I'm going both ways, trying to work that situation out. We have made some possession of open container lockups before all that, but now we have an agreement. Every day I go walking by there, they say hi, I say hi, and it's working. Unless somebody else has a problem with what I've done within the last week that it's not working.
Mr. M?
Yeah, good evening. Lieutenant, I appreciate all your hard work. I was talking to Councilmember Duffy, who's on the chair of the Public Safety Committee. He's surprised and concerned that MPD doesn't have access to all the cameras in all the government buildings in the city. So he's going to look into that. You should have live access to the Kenny Rexington cameras. There's no reason that anyone should that MPD doesn't have live access. You can monitor things and quickly get, recordings without going through some insane bureaucracy. So hopefully that's going to work out soon.
I hope so too. It would be a valuable asset.
Well, I also want to make a comment that the communities themselves need to get together and come up with a neighborhood watch, the olden style, where people actually, take notice and do things together as a community, because the police department cannot do it completely by itself. And it would help if we got training and worked on that. And Mr. M, I personally have been passing through the police department's Citizens Academy all of your information on the cameras.
I appreciate it.
And I've been giving that to all A&C commissioners and all civic leaders, so that not only the Shaw area, but everybody has access to that information. And it, very honestly, is going over, from what I hear, very well where we've given out that information. In this particular A&C, no one has come forth and asked for grant money for camera. So, we can't go out and beg you to take the money, but if somebody applies for it, we'll happily consider the grant. Nobody has asked for it.
I think we didn't decide on that, if I recall. That would have been last year, am I correct? That it was all right or not? I don't think we ever decided whether that we would allow that or not.
Oh, okay,
And I
well,
don't, if I recall.
I thought we did.
Did we decide? Okay.
Yeah,
We said for nonprofit
Okay.
organizations.
right.
Commissioner Sudi, did you go to Nita Bond's meeting last night that you just,
Yeah.
did that come up there? Or can you talk about that?
Well, it was more of an open discussion with different ANC commissioners, because, it was, everyone made a decision that police officers are just not always the perfect, way to go about jobs and placements and stuff like that, and more community activism is the next step. But it wasn't. It was so many different meetings. If you heard on the news, it wasn't just one full conversation about it.
Right, and there is someone here from the mayor's office who's gonna address some of these things in just a few minutes. Alfredo, I know you had something to say.
The camera's on First and M Street Northwest. The camera's on First and M, like the camera's on First.
I'm not,
She's not
that's
our
not my
district.
area.
Our
She's
district
not
is
from our
here.
district, they're
Our
not here
district is not
today.
even here.
But we will have somebody address that. Okay, thank you very much.
Before she goes.
Yes.
I think it's also important to note that some of the shootings we have found out from talking to the police department have come from gentlemen shooting dice, craps in the street. So if you ever see that, that's against the law. So you can just call the police and let them know something is taking place in a particular area, a particular part of the neighborhood. That will help them shut that process down. But if you drive by it or you see it, don't respond to it, or don't call the police, that activity is going to continue to go. I also want to let it be known, I'm going to try to schedule a public safety committee meeting for this ward, for this area, in the next 2 weeks, part of the 14th to the 15th. And I'll make some calls for those who volunteered in the last PSA that we had, so we can continue to help the police department. And I'll get some talking to Lieutenant so we can continue to keep this ball rolling, because I do believe it's not the police department only. It's going to take a community of people that's going to act on this behalf, because I think they're doing a great job. Them being on the 700 block has really decreased the traffic that's coming through there, the negative traffic. They really believe that we should take back the neighborhood. We had a back-to-school event in the park on last week. We made sure that police parks were there. There were 4 or 5 officers with police cars were there. And they have a negative event on this past Saturday. And those are the type of things that need to take place so that the community can feel safe and take the street back. So we'll be getting in contact with you.
But I mean, the people who quote unquote hang out there, I mean, they also live there, right? So
Well,
it's
we're
not-
finding that 95% of the people who've been out in the street don't live there. That's been part of the problem. They grew up there, but they don't live there now. They come back and hang out, maybe because they feel safer than where they were, where they're currently living. And then what we're finding out is somebody who may be coming through the area, see somebody that they have a beef against, and they end up trying to shoot that individual. So that disturbs the peace. So it makes their job harder because that person doesn't live in the neighborhood.
Thank you, Amanda, for coming in. We greatly appreciate it.
Thank you. It was nice meeting everybody. The folks on the 400 block of Ridge, I'll be outside to talk to you about that situation further.
Is
Anybody?
there anyone else here from 1D? Is there someone here from 1D?
Anybody else want to talk? I'll be outside.
No, okay. Can we move on, please? 1533 9th Street, Shiloh Baptist Church exemption.
Subject to.
Can I say something?
You're on the agenda. When it's your turn.
Okay,
Thank you.
sure.
I
Sorry,
promise,
I
Frank.
didn't know if I missed it because I was saying hi to Ms. Bliss.
No, you're on the
All right.
agenda.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the Commission. My name is Simone Gorin-Devani, and I'm with CSG Urban Partners. I'm here tonight on behalf of Shiloh Baptist Church and its Victory Village Development Corporation. There are 2 representatives from Shiloh in the audience tonight. I'm also accompanied by Jessica Bloomfield with Holland and Knight, who is the church's land use council. We're here to request the AMC's support of the church's BZA application to develop a community service center in an R4 zone. They plan to redevelop this is Gilbert Smith and Wendell Butler, who are representatives of the church. Shiloh would like to redevelop a property that it's owned in the neighborhood at 1533 9th Street, as I indicated, into a community service center. We need a special exception because in order to develop a community service center, it's a required exception use. So the church had previously obtained a special exception for this project in May of 2010. Unfortunately, they were not able to complete the development at that time. What they plan to do is redevelop the space into a community service space that will act as an incubator for nonprofit organizations and small businesses in the community. So we are here to request your support. We made a presentation at the ANC Building and Zoning, Planning and Zoning Committee last week, and we received approval to move forward. So I'm going to turn it over to Jessica so she can kind of talk further about the request.
Good evening, Commissioners. It's really as simple as Simone mentioned. We're simply asking for a special exception because a community service center is not permitted as a matter of right in the R4 district. You have to meet the special exception standards listed in Section 334 of the zoning regulations, which we have put forth in our application. if you have any questions about that, we're happy to answer any, but it's fairly straightforward application. It was already approved, and that approval has expired, but the same special exception was approved about 5 years ago.
Alex, is this in your district?
Yes, this is in my single owner district, and obviously, the community would be much happier if Shiloh had been able to complete the redevelopment when we broke ground on this a number of years ago, and with the previous approval, however, we're glad that the church is still sticking by this, and we're eager to see the rest of the church's properties on the block redeveloped as well. So just for neighbors who have questions about staging of the redevelopment, if you could just explain, what's going to happen with the existing building currently and what the plans are for construction on the empty lot that is immediately to the south, which is part of the overall.
This is the first phase of Victory Village Development Corporation redevelopment plans, excuse me, for the property that they own on 1500 block of 9th Street. This project will entail the renovation of the historic property at 1533 9th Street. The original plan, as you alluded to, was to develop a new construction portion of the project on the vacant lot adjacent to it, but unfortunately, the church has not been able to get the funding to complete that larger scale project. So for now, they're going to renovate the historic townhouse. They're going to pave the lot. As you know, they've recently done some significant exterior improvements. They painted the property, they put in new windows, they put in siding, so they're going to pave the lot and put in a decorative fence to be able to keep people out, but it also will provide the parking that's required for the 1533 site. As I indicated, this is the first phase of their multi-phase redevelopment of that block. They are in the process now of looking to redevelop the historic townhouses on the opposite side of the street. Their plans are to redevelop that into an intergenerational development, mixed-use development that will have daycare and affordable senior housing. They currently operate a daycare center out of the Curdy May Turner facility, which is south of the 1533 project. And they plan to move the daycare into the new mixed-use development once that project is completed. We're in the process of doing pre-development right now, so that project we are hoping will be moving forward shortly. Once that project is done, the church will be turning their attention to the Curdy May Turner building, which is the yellow building.
1507.
Thank you, 1507 9th Street, and we'll be redeveloping that into a commercial building. This block is bifurcated in that it has residential zoning on the north end of the block and commercial zoning on the south end of the block, so they are going to maximize the redevelopment of that project into some type of commercial project. So that's what their kind of short-term, midterm, and long-term goals are for the property that they own on 9th Street. And if you'd like to add anything.
Yeah, just in terms of the staging would actually happen in the vacant parking lot, so it wouldn't take up much space in terms of staging.
All right, thank you for the clarification. And again, those are regular questions I get all the time. When is Shiloh finally going to do something with these properties? So getting 1533 rehabilitated and back into productive use is a step in the right direction. So I would move that ANC 6E support the zoning application to allow a community service center to operate at 1533 9th Street Northwest, and that we communicate that support to the Board of Zoning Adjustment.
Do you meet parking regulations?
Yes, we do.
Obviously, it's not passing.
I know. It's subject tonight, no. But we don't need that variance.
Okay.
I second.
Any further discussion from the commission?
No.
You want to make a motion?
I already did.
Let's vote on it. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I'm abstaining. The motion carried.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
1544 9th Street.
Hi, good evening. My name is Veronica Moldenhauer, Land Use Council. For the applicant with me tonight, I'll let everyone introduce themselves.
My name is Gregory Beckner. I'm the general manager of the project.
My name is Kwame Onwachi. I'm the chef of the shop. And I'm Glenn Big from London as well.
So we are here tonight to talk about 1544 9th Street. It is on the west side of 9th Street, actually it's on the same block as the Shiloh Baptist Church. The property had been used for commercial purposes for about around 50 years. Back in the 60s, we've got copies of the C of those, if any of the commissioners would like to see a copy of those. The property is always had the intention of continuing to use it for commercial. Right now, we are seeking relief for the ability to use this property for commercial purposes and allow this restaurant to go into this location where it's always been commercial on this west end of the block. We have presented some restrictions and limitations in regard to the small number of people that would be served here. There would be only 2 seatings. It would only be an evening restaurant, so this is not anything that's going to be impacting the community other than, I think, a very positive impact. It would have evening meals only, not breakfast or lunch, so there would be a small number of individuals at the site. It would be reservation only. We can go into more detail. A lot of more of the operations, though, will be able to be explained to the community and walk through the community during the ABC liquor license process, which the applicant intends to pursue and obviously obtain and work with the community on once they get through this first kind of hurdle of the zoning process. We have talked about issues in regards to there's a rear yard where the garbage would be kept off-site. There would be work with the community in regards to hours of operations in that fact. So I can open for any questions or answer any questions.
Any questions from commissioners?
So, most people that have been in the neighborhood for a while know this as the old pizza factory building. Well, I hope nobody ever ate any of that pizza. It was a little scary, but nonetheless, historically, the building has been used for commercial use. The current owner, Kelly Gorsuch, temporarily was using it as his residence, always with the ultimate objective of opening a restaurant there. And so now he's not our neighbor anymore. He's moved to another neighborhood, and he's applied to be able to have the historic use of the building. So this is a very exciting restaurant that is being discussed. The ownership team and the management team, including the chef, is very